Okay, so the truth is, if you're a human being, as contrasted with a wild animal, you have a heightened feature of discernment that animals lack. This is why all animals bow to man, no matter how crazy and befuddling man conducts himself. The animal understands, well, he's senior to me, whatever he does, I submit to. Not willingly all the time, but I understand that this is a senior being to me. All of the animal kingdom does, intuitively. Man has lost his intuition and loses his intuition through the process of lying. The animals have a hard time lying. And they are capable of a little bit of deceit, but not much. They hide downwind and shit like this. Rolling, some other kind of animal shit to throw off scent. Stuff like this. But, they don't look at each other and lie. It just doesn't cut it. Like animals are too pure of heart to have that flying inside them. They're too busy surviving, too busy dealing with their own hunger pangs to give a shit what any animal thinks about anything. Understand? Got food? Cool. Want to share it? Far out. You don't usually want to share it in the animal kingdom. And even in the human kingdom, we have animalistic compulsions, like the fear of sharing because I might run out, or fear of sharing because I might run out. Or what if I do? If I don't have my money, nobody will love me. I've built up so much hatred around me. I have to have armed guards to protect me, like Dr. Fauci. That's not because he's so truthful. And that fucker started out honest. I saw him myself personally. That is one guy who started out honestly. Like they were asking me, yeah, well, we were doing that stuff, and that's why we had it done over in China. Like obviously better than having it leak out here. Can we say this? Not a verbatim rendition, but close enough to be almost a quote. And it's only through the process of the accusations of liars that I've watched this man's innate integrity crumble. When you surround yourself with liars, you become a liar. This is the fucking thing. The lying thing is a disease. It's worse than a cancer. It eats your fucking wits. It for sure robs you of any intuition you could ever have and prohibits you from realizing reality. The West has lost this fucking war every which way it can wiggle. Upside down, sideways, and inside out. Russia and China and myself have beat you at your own game. Please admit the truth. You're meat. Before you cost me more millions and millions and millions of lives, if you don't mind. This is getting boring, very repetitious, and the stupidity of it takes logic to unheard of leaps in the human imagination previously. This fiat money and new math, I don't think, are serving man. The zeros and ones, the jury's still out on that as far as I'm concerned, because I can't even begin to imagine thinking in zeros and ones. But I also can't imagine, being an auto mechanic either. So how Elon Musk makes millions of cars is utterly beyond me. But still, that takes a pretty smart guy. Why he insists on proving his stupidity in other ways is beyond me. But he does. And he talks about, you know, how generous and everything he is, but he doesn't even, he owes me $118.65 for a year. No, but a year in August, I think. And, you know, he said, well, prove it to me, show me the evidence. So I did. Never heard a word about it from him. Says all kinds of, you know, opportunities to get in on Bitcoin and any other kind of deal. But when a man refuses to pay me $118 and he clearly admitted, you know, that it's due, and he just doesn't want to, because as far as he's concerned, money flows only one way, and that's into him. I don't know, I can't say that about him. I just have one or two experiences of the individual. How did I get onto Elon Musk? What was I talking about to begin with? What was the point of this conversation we were having? I get lost in my own thinking. Oh yeah. So, the point of this thing is you're crazy. You're out of your cotton picking fucking minds. It'd be like me walking up to Michael Tyson, slapping across the face and saying, "You're a lady's ugly, so you should be wearing army boots." And so after he's punched me out for 19 fucking hours straight, I still have a little bit of life wiggling in me. I still threaten, "You're a fucking goof and asshole. I'm gonna kill you one of these days." This is Ukraine and the NATO. You know, this big NATO threat. What the fuck is the threat of NATO? Oh, that's the armies of the NATO armies of all the Europeans together. Well, England has an army that would half fill up a soccer stadium, and no really weapons to give them all to Ukraine. Those low-level nukes, those Storm Shadow missiles, fucked up people in Iraq quite nicely. Those Storm Shadows have permanently fucked any place. I don't know what the radius is, but it's causing enormous birth defects in my kids, and they're a criminal, absolutely insanely criminal way to get my own petulant, juvenile delinquent ways. Like England's currently conducting herself the same way Hitler did. She doesn't have concentration camps in her own backyard, but she does in other people's. And she doesn't mind bombing women, children, orphans, creating orphans by the truckload. No, she doesn't mind at all. It's the cost of doing business. The cost of being born human and being ruled by petty kings that have no morals, no wit, no wisdom to offer anyone other than petulant, insistent, insulting, and flimsy, uncreative lies that are so fucking boring. Makes the stones beneath your feet puke. You know, and you insist on ruling my world with this self-entitled lunacy that you've dredged up from some swamp of agreement someplace. That you theorize, well, I've got all these stolen IOUs of Joe Biden's, and that makes me more entitled than some fuck that doesn't. Ontario, Canada, jurisprudence tried that with their king, and they're still trying it. 15 years, they've been trying to get me to suck their fucking diseased and pestilential tit. And I'm gonna turn that tit right around and stick it in their own mouth. They'll just watch me. Anyway, this is your King of Kings, Blake Cushing, saying welcome to Wednesday.